Hey, I'm Amanda and you're watching Girly Pop Go, and I am currently filming this from my hotel room in Vegas for SEMA. I am currently distracting myself from who my country just nominated as president by working and editing and grinding, which I will be doing for the next 4 years minimum. So here's another video from our tour, our podium tour with F1 experiences while we were in the US Grand Prix in Austin, Texas. All right, so this is our entire experience with the Haas garage. I don't know if this was originally a part of our tour or not, but we got it. I'm sure I'll add some extra commentary in there because there was a couple of musical issues that I have to drown out with my own voice. But here is our tour and experience in the Haas pit lane and garage.
Hi guys, good evening everybody. If you all just want to gather around. Okay. Alright, good evening everyone and welcome to the MoneyGram Haas F1 Team Garage. My name is Will and during the day I actually look after the Haas F1 team's Paddock Club suite. So I spend a lot of time in the garage and giving the guests tours around the garage and showing them the kind of behind the scenes. As my day job when I'm not here, I work as a race team manager and a mechanic for a team called DTO Motorsport in the UK based in Silverstone. So I live around about 2-3 miles away from Silverstone. Motorsport runs through my veins. By the end of this year, I'll have done 35 race weekends, so I spend a lot of time at a racetrack. So what we're going to do this evening is talk you through a little bit about what happens in the garage and also what happens during the pit stop. So this weekend, the teams arrived, or the kit for the teams arrived on Tuesday. They would unpack the cars from the flight cases and they would assemble the cars on Wednesday. The cars would basically fire up on Thursday morning. So it takes around about a day to a day and a half to assemble, to build a Formula One car from pretty much scratch. So you can put all the components up a day, okay? And so then they would do some systems checks and basically kind of like a mini shakedown within the garage, so they can do lots of systems checks and check that everything is reading as it should be while the car is stationary. And then the first couple of laps that they do during free practice 1 is kind of a couple of installation laps, so they're looking to make sure that all of the sensors and everything is working correctly. So within this garage you've got around 30 technical staff who can work on the car, okay, and then you've got a further 30 who can work on the car but remotely, so they don't actually physically touch the car. Perfect. Anything up to the red line, guys?
You got it.
Up to the red line.
Up to the red line. So there's the curfew timer right there. All the helmets up top. And now you're stuck with me because they started playing Thunderstruck to rehearse the musical cues for the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders performance for the opening ceremonies for the United States Grand Prix. So I just wandered around this area a little bit more, and you'll see in a second I walked to the edge of where the actual pit stop location is right here that you can see, so I could try and show you the distance between that spot and across the pit lane where the actual pit wall is from the MoneyGram Haas team. Now, while I was doing this, Will ended up coming over to this area while I was getting photos with Scootish, and he started talking about the pit stop procedures.
Pit stop rig. So effectively what happens is the front and rear jack, they actually have like a semi-automated release. So each gun on each corner, each wheel gun, has a button on here. Okay, and when the mechanic senses that the wheel nut is tight, they press this button, it sends a signal up to the system. As soon as it sees that across this axle the wheel nuts are tight, it will automatically drop the front jack. Same with the rear jack. Okay, And this light here is the only thing that the drivers watch. It changes from red to green. As soon as it changes green, the drivers drop the clutch and they go. Okay, so the drivers watch nothing but this. So that's really good because you can get a really nice quick pit stop, but the only issue is the system will automatically change the light. It doesn't know if there's traffic coming down the pit lane. So at the front we have what's called a car controller. So that person's job is to look at the car, make sure that everything during the pit stop has gone well, so that a wheel hasn't fallen off or the jack's fallen too early, etc., etc. But their job is also to look down the pit lane and see if there's any oncoming traffic. Now you can just about see a little tricolor flag, so a little orange and green flag on the pit wall next to that silver cover on that pit perch. So if a car is the other side of that, coming down the pit lane, we can safely release this car without having an unsafe release. If the car is closer, so it's on this side of that flag, then we must hold the car and wait for the other car to go past, otherwise we risk an unsafe release. But basically the car controller has like a hold button, and they'll press and hold it, and then when they release it, it'll change the light and the car will go. So basically what happens is the car comes in, will stop as close to the marks as they can. The team will change the wheels, so these are the guns that they use, particularly powerful guns. If you were to hit the button without holding it with two hands, it can very easily break your wrist. It's a very, very powerful gun. You hold it like this so that you've got your whole body behind the gun. And this is actually it's got a cool feature to it as well. So you preload it in the off position. So you undo the wheel nut and then you just release the pressure slightly and it switches the direction of the gun. So you undo the wheel nut, release your grip slightly, it switches the direction of the gun, and then you're ready to go back on again, then you press the confirm button. So that's kind of what they're doing all in one motion. So the car will come in and try and stop on their marks. The mechanic sort of undoes the wheel nut. As they come off, release the grip, and then they go back on again, and they put all their body weight behind that to push the wheel nut on and tighten it at the same time. Then they press the confirm button, the jacks will drop, light will change, driver goes. That all happens in an average of about 2.8 seconds. And when they change a front wing, it's about 9 seconds. So it's pretty impressive, and it's about 18 to 20 people involved in a pit stop. Every single pit stop that they do, and they do about 80 a weekend, is videoed by the FIA, by all of the broadcasters, and also by the teams, and they will replay all of those. They basically break down every single element of the pit stop. And Haas employ 2 physios whose sole job is to look after the pit stop team and get them to go faster. So every single weekend, 80 pit stops just to try and move forwards. So they did some calculations, and McLaren hold the world record at the moment. Mm-hmm. They are the fastest. The only difference, when they overlay the videos, the only difference between Haas and McLaren is the kit. It's the speed of the guns. So that is the only limiting factor so the human side of things is basically exactly the same. And it's literally just the quality of the kit and the speed of the kit that is making the difference. So it shows how budget and things like that can have a huge influence on the overall result of a race. And that's down to tenths of a second that is all built into these guns. So yeah, there's a huge amount that goes into just this pit stop alone. Yeah, any questions?
How much does each gun cost?
Anyone want to guess how much one of these guns is?
$15,000.
Yes.
Really? Wait,
So it's around 15,000. So it's around 15,000 out of the box.
Oh, I'm Rain Man.
So the kind of gun itself is 15,000 off the shelf, but then the team modifies it.
Right.
So they add all this shrouding on the outside and the electronics inside. So it's around 25,000 by the time they've done all the labour and parts and all that kind of thing. And they have 8 that they use normally, and then about 2 sets of spares. So they've got about 16 of these. Yes.
Will every pit crew member use the same gun every single time?
So the guns are laid out in position because the tails that come off of them, so the airlines that come off, are set to a certain length. So they will generally be in the same position, but they will practice with the spare gun, and then the race guns are used as infrequently as possible to keep the wear and tear down on them. Because they're so powerful, there's actually quite a lot of wear and tear that happens inside of these. So they have to be rebuilt about twice a season.
Gotcha.
So there's quite a lot in these that can go wrong. And as I say, because they're so powerful, you almost have to have your whole body weight and strength behind it. You can't just have it in one hand. It would literally break your wrist. It's so powerful. You can see by the size of, so it's actually got a cap on it at the moment, but the size of the airline that goes into there just shows the sheer amount of pressure. All right, there we are, guys. That is a quick run through of the pit stop in the Haas garage.
Yay, thank you.
We're going to head on to the next station. Thank you very much, guys, and just follow the guys behind you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video about the safety car setup at COTA.